Today I'll show you how to make a fantastic Einkorn sourdough bread. It's so freaking delicious. Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'll show you how to make a super simple yet delicious bread made with the ancient grain Einkorn. Einkorn is one of the first strains of wheat to be domesticated, but it has a relatively low yield. Still, like rye, it can survive in poor, dry, marginal soils where other wheat strains can't. That made them very suitable for prehistoric humans to grow. And that's also one of the reasons that rye is widely spread in Northern Europe. Today it's used chiefly as bulgur and animal feed, unless you get a batch and you can make it into bread. And I will show you how to do that today. This bread will be a freestanding loaf with mostly regular wheat flour. I've added whole grain einkorn for the excellent taste. Next week, I'll show you how you can make 100% einkorn bread, which is as impressive as this one. If you're new to the channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. If you want to see more of this content, please join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. I use 70% strong bread flour and 30% coarsely ground einkorn for this bread dough. The hydration is 80%, inoculation is 20%, and the salt content is 2%. You must use strong bread flour because einkorn doesn't have a lot of gluten by itself. If you don't have that available, you can try to lower the hydration, or you could try to use only 20% einkorn. If you use einkorn all-purpose flour, you need to lower the hydration. I'll explain more in the recipe part of this video. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon. You can also buy some merch, or use the super thanks, or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is the recipe.
There's a link in the description for the recipe on my website. To a medium bowl, add 700 grams of bread flour, 300 grams of einkorn whole grain flour, and 20 grams of salt. Mix it. Then add 200 grams of starter, fed and grown to its peak. 780 grams of water. Mix it until all the flour is hydrated. Put it in a bulking container sprayed with baking spray. Level the top. On the container, mark the dough's top and where it will have grown 25%. Yes, that's quarter growth, not doubling. Are you confused by this? Watch my experiment on how much your dough should grow, link in the card above. Then put the dough somewhere warm to bulk ferment. I used my proofer set to 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. How long did it take? About 4.5 hours using my starter and in my environment. Don't go by time, go by growth. After fermenting the dough, take it out of the container and split it into 2 equally sized pieces. Then using your scraper, shape each piece into a light ball by dragging the dough across the table. After you finish the pre-shaping, let the dough rest on the counter for 20 minutes. Then it's time for the final shaping. I will show you how to shape a boule, a round bread, and a batard, a cigar-shaped bread. First, the boule. Flip the pre-shaped loaf over, pull each side out, stretch and fold it towards the middle to create tension on the part facing the counter. Then flip it over. Proceed to shape it the way you pre-shaped it. Keep going until it seems pretty taut. Then flip the loaf into a round Banneton. To create more tension, fold the sides towards the middle. Now the batard. Flour the top lightly. Flip it over. Then tease the dough out into a rectangle. Fold the bottom up halfway, then each of the sides towards the middle. And fold the top down and tug it in. Roll the dough tightly. Cover the ends. And put it in a Banneton. Stitch the back. Then put both loaves in the fridge from 8 hours to 48 hours. When ready to bake, heat your oven to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit, with a Dutch oven inside. About 30 minutes should be enough. Then grab a loaf from the fridge, dust the bottom with rice flour to help it slide off the peel. Flip it onto the peel. Score it however you like. If you need inspiration, I have a video with 12 different scores. Link in the card above. Then put it in the oven and bake for 25 minutes. Just before the boule is ready, prepare the batard. Dust it. Flip it. Score it. And then bake it for 25 minutes. This method of baking is called two-stage baking. I also have a video on that, link in the card above. As the batard is finished steaming, the boule is done, so take it out. And put it on a wire rack to cool. Remove the top of the Dutch oven and bake it for 25 minutes more. Then take it out and let it cool. Alright, now it's time to show you how wonderful this bread looks.
So how about that? I love the color of the crust and the crumb, that sort of mahogany tone. It's unique. The taste is fantastic. It's a wheat grain, so it does taste close to that, but it's more profound, some nutty and even toasted notes, and that's without toasting it. It's really, really great. You should give it a go if you haven't already tried it. It's super tasty. Maybe einkorn is your new favorite flour. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.